That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I quoted Jackson Browne. Bet you didn't see that one coming. Were the 60s only a fitful dream of some greater awakening? Well, I think that they were. What's the greater awakening? Is it that the comet's going to hit the Earth? Is it Planet X is going to enter the inner solar system? Is it that there's going to be the age of Aquarius and we're all going to vibrate off the Earth plane to some astral heaven? I don't think so. I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a collective consciousness awakening, slowly but surely, of people all around the world who just don't want to do it the same way anymore. It doesn't work. It's like driving that old car, man. You know, finally you just have to take it to the junkyard. You just have to get out and leave it by the side of the road. It just doesn't work anymore. It's old, it's outdated, it's no good. And, you know, there's basically two types of people in the world. There are people that are open-minded and objective, that understand and trust in a higher power. I don't care which religion you are, that know that there's an unseen, unfelt guiding force in their life, and if they close one door, they're guaranteed that another one's going to open. And then there are people that have no conception of that at all. They have no conception of it whatsoever. They're afraid. Their lives are ruled by fear. Well, if your life is ruled by love, if your life is ruled by positivity, if your life is ruled by possibility, then you have come to exactly the right place. FireYourMDNow.com is your new home for the new age of humanity here. And I'm not talking in grandiose terms. I'm talking in down-to-earth, pragmatic, let's get real. Let's get our health back, for goodness sake. Let's get some money in the bank, for goodness sake. And let's start having fun on good old planet Earth. Going right to the phones, as I promised. Now, Valerie from Nevada has been holding on the longest. Hey, Valerie, thanks for calling. You are live.
Hello.
Hello, Valerie. We've got something going on with a heart attack and kidney failure here. Oh, my goodness, what's going on?
Well, I had a heart attack in November, and then my kidneys failed.
Did your kidneys fail because of the treatment that they gave you, or did the kidneys fail separate and distinct from that?
Separate and distinct.
Okay, so number one, have to ask the hard questions here, Valerie. How do you know you had a heart attack?
I had 5 bypasses. That's a pretty good, story to tell.
Yeah, okay. So what was happening? I mean, what were your symptoms? Were you driving down the road and you keeled over with massive chest pain?
I have no memory of it whatsoever. We went to Thanksgiving dinner, and the next thing I remember, 2 days later, I woke up in the hospital. I don't remember one single solitary thing that happened between going home from Thanksgiving dinner and till I woke up in the hospital.
Okay, so you had 5 coronary bypass procedures done in one surgical operation?
Yes.
Okay, and what type of medication did they give you after the fact?
After the fact? What am I...
Well, when you were released from the hospital after they'd done the heart surgery, what meds did they put you on?
I don't even know. I know that I'm taking a cardio something for, but I've almost got myself off every medication. I take a statin now, and I take, anyway, most of them are not for my heart now. I'm all off everything.
All right, good. So how many months after the heart surgery did you get kidney failure?
Not even days.
It was days.
It was days, yeah.
Okay, so you want to do a little internet search and see if there's any relationship between the surgical procedure that they did and kidney failure. Because, there's a saying in medicine, where there's smoke, there's fire, and when you see symptoms, you think about horses before you think about water buffaloes. So you want to think about the most common things that cause things before we start thinking about weird things that cause things. It's entirely possible that these two events were unrelated, that the kidney failure was unrelated to the surgery, and that it was, you know, another weak link in the chain of your body that just broke, you know, at that particular moment in time, and it was a coincidental thing. But it's also possible that the kidney failure was capitulated by the surgical procedure, the anesthesia that they gave you specifically, or some of the meds that they had you on during or after surgery. So that's what I would do first to investigate the causative factor of kidney failure. And let me tell you something. From our point of view, kidney failure, most of the time, is caused by the same process that causes the arteries in your heart to get clogged up. So it's entirely possible that you had two weak links in your body that were caused by the same thing, and then first your heart went and then your kidneys went, and that had nothing to do with the drugs or surgery. The kidney thing had nothing to do with the drugs or surgery from the procedures. And the thing that causes both your kidneys to go south and your heart blood vessels to get clogged up is something that I refer to as oxidative damage. We believe that clogged arteries in the heart or in the kidney, or anywhere in the body, for goodness sake, are caused by consistent consumption of all of the wrong foods. And when we eat certain foods, they cause inflammation. And inflammation shows up in different places in different people's bodies. Sometimes the inflammation shows up in the joints. Sometimes it shows up in the liver. Sometimes it shows up in the arteries. Sometimes it shows up in the skin. You never know where the inflammatory weak link of the chain is going to be, but inflammation is as inflammation does. And what happens here is you're consistently eating all of the wrong foods because you have the wrong medical doctor, you have the wrong general practitioner, they don't know anything about health, and you've been following bad advice all your life. It's not your fault, it's the medical professional's fault. So you're eating all of these foods every day that cause low-grade inflammation. The inflammation builds and builds and builds and builds and builds, and then it breaks. Your body breaks at its weakest point, and so the blood vessels in your heart get clogged. Now, why do the blood vessels in your heart get clogged? Well, we believe it's got nothing to do with cholesterol. We believe it has everything to do with inflammation of the arteries. So the interior of the artery starts to become inflamed, and it starts to tear, and it starts to get weak. And your body knows that that's not good, because if that breaks, if the artery breaks, for goodness sake, you're going to bleed to death. You'll have internal bleeding and you'll die. That's not good. So your body, in its wisdom, patches the part of inflammation in the artery, patches the trouble in the artery wall with cholesterol, which it has an abundance of. So we believe that cholesterol, in fact, is the cure here to the inflammatory process that the body uses to keep you from bleeding to death. The medical doctors, because they have an old-fashioned, outdated, dangerous, ineffective, I'm not even going to say the M word, but the fact of the matter is that their view of the genesis of pathology in the human body is it's juvenile, it's childish, and you shouldn't believe anything that they say. So we believe that it's inflammation that caused the problem, not cholesterol. It's inflammation that caused the problem, not cholesterol. And so what do we need to do? Well, you need to stop eating food that cause inflammation. So have you been involved with longevity at all? Is this your first time as a caller? Where are you at in your relationship to medical nutrition? Are you doing anything right now?
No, I'm not.
Okay, good. And who told you to call, by the way?
Ken Jensen.
Oh, very, very good. Okay, so, well, I'm glad that you listened to him. So, you know, in the wonderful world of politics, right, we have a number of different ways to go in this country. We've got, you know, the Democratic way, we've got the Republican way, we've got fringe organizations, many different political parties. They come and they go. In the world of religion, of course, there's a million different ways to look at it, right? Everybody has their own point of view. Well, it's no different with medicine. in the field of medicine, there are different professions, different pieces of the pie of medical science that bring different skill sets to the table. And regretfully, the skill set that your heart doctor, that your MD has been trained in, doesn't lend them any type of knowledge whatsoever as to what causes heart disease. They don't know what causes heart disease. If they knew what caused heart disease, there wouldn't be any more heart disease. And if it had anything to do with cholesterol, there wouldn't be any more heart disease, because we sell more cholesterol medication than any other type of medication in the world, to the tune of 20+ billion with a B dollars of statin drugs a year, cholesterol-lowering drugs. It ain't cholesterol that's your problem. Your medical doctor's got it wrong. So, this brings us around to, a sticking point, Valerie. In order for you to gain purchase on your health here, you can't have a leg on both sides of this fence. You either have to be on our side of the pasture or you have to be on their side of the pasture, but you can't do both. You're going to have to make a choice at some point in your life, whether you're going to go the holistic route and give medical nutrition a try, or whether you're going to stick with what you're doing right now. And I've got to tell you, if you were my patient in a state in which I could prescribe statin drugs, I would tell you to flush your statin drug down the toilet, but I can't do that because I'm not licensed to practice medicine in Nevada. So my recommendation to you is to, number one, eliminate, here's what I would do for 90 days as an experiment, a 90-day health experiment to see how you feel, because the proof of the pudding's in the eating, right? So for 90 days, I want you to eliminate 10 foods from your diet. Eliminate 10 foods from your diet. I want you to take one healthy, how much do you weigh, by the way, Valerie? What's your current body weight?
I'm about 100 pounds overweight. I weigh about 230.
Okay, so the obesity also is part of the same, it's another arm of the same octopus, right? Mm-hmm. So the recommendation for you for a 90-day health recovery experiment would be 3 healthy brain and heart packs per month, 3 healthy brain and heart packs per month, 4 bottles of selenium per month, 4 bottles of selenium per month, and 2 bottles of Ultimate Daily capsules. 2 Ultimate Dailies, 4 selenium, and 2 healthy brain and heart packs. 2 healthy brain and heart packs, plus eliminate the 10 bad foods. And stick with me after the heartbreak. I'll tell you where to get that list. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. Stick around. To get that list of the 10 bad foods, it's easy. Just visit my website, fireyourmdnow.com. Fireyourmdnow.com. Click on the monthly newsletter tab. It's free. Give me your contact info, your first name, your last name if you choose, and your email address. We keep it all in-house. You'll get free information on health from my team and myself. And as soon as you join the free monthly newsletter mailing list, you will be directed to a hidden page on my website that has the list of the 10 bad foods and a little video which explains why. Check it out, fireyourmdnow.com. Click on the newsletter tab, and life is good. I'm very excited now to take our next caller, Gareth, calling all the way from London. I've been on pins and needles, Gareth, waiting for you to call back and tell us what's going on with your kids. Thanks so much for sticking with me. You are live.
Hi, Dr. Glidden. Yeah, thank you very much indeed for taking my call again. Things are looking very, very promising at the moment. One of the symptoms he had was itching on his sides very early on. The skin, he was rubbing himself raw. But that's all totally cleared up now. It's totally gone. That's been gone now for about can take his full body weight in regards to if he's hanging on bars. It's phenomenal. He's the progress doctor, and I really can't thank you enough in that regard.
Okay, so the muscle strength has increased and the chronic skin condition has disappeared. Is that correct?
That's correct, doctor. That's correct. But there's a couple of things that I would like to bring up with you that I would like to go over with. I did look at your early on when I first spoke to you, when you mentioned about your webinar. for the Lyme's disease. And I did go ahead and get a test for disease, and they sent the test from a private clinic over in the UK here, and they sent the test off to a company in America, on the west coast of America, and it did actually come back positive, Doctor. And I'd like to talk to you about that, and in that regard, because he's still swollen on the pips and his knees as well, but there's so much strength. I just can't believe that progress. But I'd say that's something that's I wanted to touch base with you, because like I say, nearly 90 days in now, it's really the Lyme's disease I really want to talk to you about now, because it has actually come back with the IgG and the IgM are both positive.
Yeah. So, the tests, I got to tell you, the testing for that, unless it's a Western blot, the only testing that's valid for Lyme disease is outlawed. You can't do it. It was a specific test called a Western blot, and the Western blot has a number of different segments on it. And the segments that would actually give you information as to whether you were Lyme positive or Lyme negative were outlawed. You can't use the only test that is definitive for Lyme disease. It's definitive for it. The IgG and the IgM testing is not definitive. You could have had Lyme disease years ago and test positive. You could have a blatant Lyme infection today with the bullseye rash, and you could have the tick in your hand, and the test would come back negative. So, regretfully, all that we have to go now, because the kid's 3 years old, because your child is 3 years old, with a positive IgG test for Lyme disease, then it is was there ever a bullseye rash on his skin, or did you ever discover a tick on the child's body earlier on in his life?
Well, that's the thing. Once he had the tick bite, about 3 weeks later, he caught the chicken pox. That would have been really hard to tell, Doctor.
Oh, yeah.
And the test that was done, again, it was the Western blot that they did.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah.
All right. So here's what I would like you. The only thing that I would include, and I would only do it for 4 weeks now. How much does your son weigh now?
40-pound, Doctor, and even that, the growing, there's no issues with him whatsoever. He's just running around, he's growing well, his appetite's fantastic, all the above, he's absolutely fantastic.
So there's been a big change, but the only thing you're concerned about is the fact that the test came back positive, and there's still a little bit of residual trouble with his joints?
Yeah, in that regard, around the pit joints and his knees are still swollen.
Yeah.
So they're my main concern. If the swelling was to disappear, Doctor, then my son is back to normal.
Okay, great, Gareth. Well, hey, man, you're warming the cockles of my heart, buddy. I've been waiting for you to call back for a couple of weeks now. I'm so glad that you did. We're up against a hard break, buddy. You're going to have to stick around with me for a couple more minutes. Hang on, I'll tell you what to do to get on the other side of this Lyme disease. Ladies and gentlemen, I am your steadfast advocate for health, Dr. Peter Glidden, and this is Fire Your MD Now. Na, 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 na. I know you were singing it too. Come on, I know you were. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. This is the second hour of July 2nd, 2013. Edition of Fire Your MD Now. We're talking to Gareth from London about his 3-year-old son's remarkable recovery with longevity, and it was really an awesome story here. And I wish I could say it was the exception and not the rule, but it's the rule. It's the rule. This is easy, folks. Healing is easy. Do you get it? This kid was in the weeds. If Gareth hadn't found me, God only knows where his 3-year-old son would be now. Wouldn't be pretty, let me tell you that. And did I need to see lab work? Did I need to see the child? Did I need to look him in the eye? Did I need to stick a stethoscope on his chest or stick an otoscope in his ear? No. What did we do? We gave his body the stuff it needs to fix itself. We stopped feeding him crap. We got out of the way and let nature do the rest. You see how easy it is? You don't want to believe it? Well, open your mind a little bit and believe it, for goodness sake. Healing is easy. Surgery is complicated. All right, Gareth, so we're going to take this to the next level here. Are you still with me?
I am, Doctor, yes.
All right, very good.
What's the Western blot test that you had done, Doctor?
Yeah, you had the Western blot test done. I'm telling you, but the Western blot test that they do now leaves out the bands that are definitive for Lyme disease. And I mean, read the history about it. They let the bands, the Western blot has a number of different bands on it. And the bands that are the only definitive determinants of Lyme disease are no longer included in the Western blot test. They removed them. They don't even test for them anymore. You can do a Western blot test, but it's missing the bands that are the only definitive ones for Lyme disease. And I think that they did that because Lyme is a government-created disease. It never showed up until the 70s. It never showed up. It's the same organism that causes syphilis. So syphilis has been around since biblical times, for goodness sake. So why did Lyme disease, if it's the same organism, just show up in the 70s? What did the syphilis spirochete mutate? Because of asteroid dust? Is that what happened? No. The first case of Lyme disease was on Plum Island, was in Lyme, Connecticut, which is 9 miles away from Plum Island, which is an island in Long Island Sound, where they have a government testing facility that was doing testing on tick-borne diseases, for goodness sake. And then a couple of years after it went rampant in this country, all of a sudden Lyme disease shows up out of nowhere and it's knocking on everybody's door. They eliminate the 2 bands from the Western blot test that are the only definitive testing methods to show you that you actually do in fact have Lyme disease, which threw everybody off. Well, maybe it's Lyme, maybe it's not. We get all these false positives, we get all these false negatives. It was a smoke screen because the government didn't want to be sued. They didn't want to let the cat out of the bag, that they were doing all of this really spooky bacteriological warfare testing 9 miles away from civilization. For goodness sake. But I digress. So here's what we're going to do next, Gareth, okay? Because, you know, he's 3 years old. He had a positive test with the the IgG. What did you do? An IgG and an IgM panel? Is that what you did?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. So we're going to just assume that there's a little spirochete in there, but because the stuff that I'm going to recommend he takes can't hurt him, and if there's a little spirochete in there, it's going to kill it. Ostensibly, it's going to kill it. So here's the secret sauce here that we bring to bear to help the body get rid of the microorganism that presumptively is inside his body. By the way, it's called a spirochete. S-P like Peter, I-R-O, C like Charlie, H-E, T like Thomas, T like Thomas, E. It's a spirochete, which is a strange little microorganism kind of halfway between a bacteria and a virus. All right, so there's an herb called teasel root. That's T like Thomas, E-A, S like Sam, E-L, teasel root. So the Latin name is Dipsacus sylvestris. That's D like David, I, S like Sam, A, P like Peter, S again like Sam, C like Charlie, U, S like Sam. Dipsacus sylvestris is the second word. S like Sam, Y, L like Larry, V like Victor, E like Edward, S like Sam, T like Thomas, R like Roger, O, U, S like Sam. Dipsacus sylvestris. The recommendation for someone who's 40 years old would be 2 drops under his tongue, 2 drops of a tincture of teasel root. 2 drops. I'm talking 2 drops, man. Not 2 teaspoons, not 2 tablespoons. 2 drops of teasel root under his tongue in the morning and 2 drops of teasel root under his tongue at night before bed. And also give him 1 capsule of Dr. Wallach's Killer Biotic. 1 capsule of Dr. Wallach's Killer Biotic with dinner. I want you to do the Dipsacus sylvestris for 4 weeks. And I want you to do the Killer Biotic for 4 weeks as well. You can also give him a 100-pound dose of calcium, the liquid calcium, which would be, for him, 1 tablespoon of the liquid calcium twice a day. 1 tablespoon of the liquid calcium twice a day. So you can up the ante with the calcium, add into the mix the Killer Biotic, 1 capsule with the evening meal. And the secret sauce here would be the teasel root, 2 drops in the morning under his tongue, and 2 drops in the evening before bed. Do both of those for 4 weeks. Double the amount of calcium keep your fingers crossed and let me know what happens. We lost the signal. We had trouble there at the end with Gareth, but I'm sure he's still listening to us. So give that a run for your money, Gareth, and give me a call back in about a month. Hopefully, positively speaking, it has to be with more good information, because that's how we roll here. And how do I know it's going to work? Because I've been doing this for 20-plus years. It's easier to help your body fix itself than it is to fall off of a potato truck. Your medical doctor is clueless about how to do this unless you have an actual bleeding artery or a bone sticking out of your skin. That's what they're good for. Going from the United Kingdom all the way to California now to talk to Geneva, who's been holding for too long now. Geneva from California, thank you so much for calling. You are live.
Hey, Dr. Glidden, that's okay. I enjoy listening to you. You are inspirational.
Well, I thank you very much. I give it the old college try.
Well, it's working. So anyway, this is a 57-year-old male with skin cancer. He says it appeared about 5 years ago on his forehead, and at that time he was treated by a doctor with a white topical cream. He says it's either returned again or they just didn't get all of it the last time. Yeah. This time it's on his cheek and his forehead. He says it's about the size of a dime and it's dark.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and that's it? That's his only trouble?
Yeah.
Well, boy, that's easy. All right, so Geneva, from our point of view, first of all, we can't treat cancer, okay, because that's illegal. And if that doesn't make you absolutely unbelievably ticked off, I don't know what will, right? And, by you, I mean the listening audience. It's crazy. The only people that are legally allowed to treat cancer in the United States are the people who are horrible at treating cancer, the MDs and the oncologists. They have completely dropped the ball on cancer. They've completely dropped the ball. And then they move the goalposts all the time. I keep threatening that I'm going to do it, and I am going to do it. I'm going to do a whole week on cancer, maybe 2 weeks, maybe a whole month. It's just going to be all cancer all the time. We're going to pull back that curtain a long, long way, because there's nothing but disease and destruction behind that, and deception behind that curtain. And I am choosing my words carefully. But in any event, as already has been this man's experience, the treatment that the MDs gave him didn't get to the root of the illness because it came back. And this is what the MDs do. They're not concerned with curing the disease. They're concerned with managing the symptoms. So the treatments that they give are suppressive. The treatments are not curative. Rarely is an MD treatment curative. It's curative if you have pneumonia. It's curative if you have bronchitis. It's curative if you have a urinary tract infection. But most antibiotics work by stimulating your body's immune system. So really it's your body that's fixing it, stimulated by the drug. It's interesting. I bet you didn't know that. But in any event, what we do is, we say, well, son of a gun, this man didn't have skin cancer because he has skin. Because if that was the case, everybody would have skin cancer. Well, why did he get skin cancer then? Well, probably because of oxidative damage to the skin. Could be from a million different things. Could be from exposure to nasty crap at work. Who knows? We have no idea. But what we do is we counsel people to stop eating stuff that's gumming up the works, that's causing chronic inflammation, and that's whittling away at the health of the body. One of the most common causes of cancer is oxidative damage to the DNA of cells. And, back to high school biology, right? Every cell in the body has a nucleus in the middle of the cell, and in the nucleus of the cell is the chromosomes that contain all genetic material. And when the genetic material inside the chromosome becomes damaged from oxidative stress, oxidative damage, it's the same stuff that makes an apple turn brown on the tabletop, that makes fruit go rotten, that makes wine turn to vinegar. Oxidative damage makes iron turn to rust, for goodness sake. Oxidative damage turns bodies into dust, turns mountains into dust. Well, when oxidative damage reaches into the nucleus of a cell, it damages the chromosomes. And when the chromosomes get damaged, guess what? The cells cannot stop making copies of themselves. itself. So they duplicate and duplicate and duplicate and duplicate and duplicate and duplicate, and now you've got a tumor. One of the main causes of the genesis of cancer anywhere in the body, a tumorous growth anywhere in the body, is oxidative damage to the DNA of that particular cell. In this case, it would be a skin cell. So this man, number one, has to eliminate the 10 bad foods from his diet like his freaking life depended on it, number one. Number two, in order to support and promote the structure of his body internally, the recommendation would be 1 anti-aging healthy start pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month, 1 anti-aging healthy start pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month, 1 bottle of Ultimate Selenium per 50 pounds of body weight per month, 1 bottle of Ultimate Selenium per 50 pounds of body weight per month, as much Z-Radical as he can possibly afford. If he can afford 8 bottles a month, 2 bottles a week, that's great. I wouldn't do any more than 8 bottles a month. If he can't do that, have him do 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1 bottle of the Z-Radical a month. I want him to have at least 1 bottle of the Z-Radical a month. And the secret sauce here would be to make a paste from the Ultimate Selenium capsule. Take the capsule apart, dump a little of the selenium powder in a contact lens case or on the bottom of a glass, turn a glass upside down, and put a little colloidal silver. Get some of Youngevity's colloidal silver, drop a couple of drops of the colloidal silver onto the selenium powder and make a paste. It'll turn bright purple, and then paint the paste on top of the lesion on the face and put a Band-Aid on it. Do that 3 or 4 times a day and also before bed. Apply the paste topically, eliminate the 10 bad foods, take the supplements as indicated, and the secret sauce here is make sure he has enough antioxidants in his diet every day. You've been listening to the show, I know you have. You know the antioxidant drill. The recommendation for him would be a minimum of 100,000 ORAC of antioxidant a day, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is a good prescription for health. And we're back for the last 5 minutes of today's show, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for hanging out with me again. Good to be back in the saddle after my fabulous French vacation. Going to go right now to Michigan and talk to Harry. Hey, Harry, thanks for holding on, buddy. You are live.
I'm Dr. Glidden. How you doing?
Pretty good, man. What's up?
Well, listen, I called you a couple months ago with that Addison-type disease, and you gave me a protocol. And for a month, I've been following it, but I had a relapse, so I was in the hospital for 4 or 5 days. 5 days. And so I kind of ate some crummy food again. And here's my question. I'm going to treat it like I've never even tried longevity. I'm going to start all over again and do it for 90 days. But here's my question. From the doctors to my family, everybody's saying that, you know, the drug that I'm taking, the hydrocortisone and the Florinef, that there might be interaction from what I'm taking from longevity and the Smart FX, the Tangy Tangerine, the Youth Complex, and the Sweeties. They're saying that stuff might be interacting with this hydrocortisone. And my question to you, is that happening or no?
No, that's not happening. Quite frankly, everybody's just in fear mode, and the doctor shouldn't. I mean, it's the doctor's job to know this, right? I mean, the MDs who's prescribing this shouldn't just say, throw this big sweeping fear net and say, oh, you know, the drugs that the nutritional supplements, which are essential to the health of your body, are interfering somehow with the action of this man-made prescription drug. It's nonsense. That's like saying drinking water is interfering with the action of this drug. I mean, it's just nonsense. Now, there are, on certain occasions, some herbs that can have a negative action or an interaction with pharmaceuticals, making them more or less effective, but in this case there is none. As a matter of fact, it's just the opposite. Hydrocortisone exerts its influence in the body through stimulating certain biochemical pathways. It's a drug which upregulates certain biochemical pathways inside the human body. And when biochemical pathways are turned on It's like stepping on the gas in your car. Now, when you depress the gas pedal in your car and the car goes faster, you burn through more gasoline, right? And you burn through more engine oil. You put more stress on the car. The point here I'm trying to make is that the faster the car goes, the more gas it burns. Well, when you take any prescription drug into the body, it upregulates certain parts of the metabolism in your body which burn through essential nutrients, because that's how the body works. You know, the drug just doesn't exert its influence independence of everything else in the body. It stimulates certain biochemical systems inside the body, and it'll just like stepping on the gas in the car. So quite the contrary is true. Taking the longevity stuff will help the hydrocortisone to work better and more effectively and more efficiently. It'll help the hydrocortisone to work better, more effectively, and more efficiently. Now, what you might want to check is look to see if the symptoms that you had, which you're considering a relapse, were in fact an overdose of hydrocortisone. Because what will often happen is when people clean their diet up and they get on board with good new-fashioned medical nutrition, the drugs that they're taking are more effective. So it's like you doubled the dose of the drug, right, or tripled the dose of the drug, and that's going to have negative effects. So that for sure that's going to have negative effects. So look to see what the symptoms of an overdose of the drugs that they've given you that you were taking are, and see if in fact that's what happened, number one. Now, if you stopped taking did you stop taking the drugs before, or were you still taking them when you did my deal?
Cut down from 40 milligrams a day to 30, just to see if I could handle it.
Yeah.
And then within it took about 6 or 8 weeks, it threw off my potassium, sodium level, the really bad levels, you know.
Well, how did that make you? How were you feeling when that happened? We've only got 40 seconds left, Harry. How were you feeling when that happened?
Absolutely, I was going downhill. I could tell.
Okay. All right. Well, look, Harry, we're all out of time. I know you were holding on for a long time today. If you can call me back tomorrow at the very beginning of the show, I'll take your call first, right off the bat, and we'll finish this conversation if you'd like to. The short answer is no. There's no negative interactions with any of the stuff and hydrocortisone. But look to see if the symptoms that you were experiencing could in fact be caused by too much hydrocortisone, because you know what? You don't know what you don't know. Knowledge is power. Thanks for the call, Harry. I always look forward to talking to you. Give me a call back whenever you want. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm out.